Well, hello, everybody. Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. This is Car Chronicles to the Office to the House Chronicles. So I'm sitting in my living room. Well, I'm sitting in my dining room. So you guys ready? Let's do it. So let's talk about narcissism in children. So you know that narcissistic personality disorder is not diagnosed in children because the behaviors, remember, narcissism is a adjective that describes a behavior. Narcissistic personality disorder, however, is a disorder. And so children at a very young age display behaviors or attitudes or when they're children, they display narcissism because it is a part of their developmental process as they're growing up. Selfish, self-centered, a lot of things that they do is very narcissistic in nature, but it doesn't mean that they have the disorder. So now parents, it is a parent's responsibility to guide and direct that child. See, some people, and if it doesn't apply to you, it's not you. If you get mad, oh, well, you'll be all right. Some parents are afraid to correct their children. Some parents are afraid because they're guilt parenting because they've come out of a situationship with a narcissist. So they're afraid that the child may not like them. So they let them do and get away with things without setting boundaries, without directing the child, without guiding the child. And that narcissist is the fun parent. And so now you're competing with that narcissist, totally eliminating the fact that you need to guide and direct that little child. That child is an arrow. The child depends on you to guide and direct them throughout life in their behaviors, in their thought processes, and your responsibility is to teach them empathy. Years ago, when I first started out as a therapist, I began as a family preservation service provider. I worked for a private practice who had a contract with Department of Child, and I think it's Department of Child Services. They worked with CPS, and they had family preservation service providers where we went into the home, number one, to prevent the child from being taken out of the home and placed in foster care, help the parents prepare for the children coming back in the home, and then also to go in and help them with parenting skills. And so one of the programs that I use, you can look it up, is called 1-2-3 Magic. Well, 1-2-3 Magic, I had to educate the parents, and I had to educate the parents on how to modify the behavior of a child. You're modifying negative behavior or problematic behavior. And 1-2-3 Magic, with my own swing to it, I followed it and I put my own little swing to it so it'll work for me. 1-2-3 Magic is a modification or a behavior modification for children. But the first people that you have to modify the behavior of is the parents. Later on with years, I realized that a lot of things that I was teaching the parents is the very things that I'm teaching you guys on social media and in coaching. Go to part 2. Car Chronicles to the Office to the dining area. We're talking about children and narcissism, or narcissism in children, part 2. So in the previous video, I was talking about the behavior modification program that I used to introduce to parents that were within the Child Protective Services, or they were risking a chance of losing their children, getting them taken out of the home, or they were pending having the children brought back in the home. And I used a program which is called 1-2-3 Magic. It was a behavior modification program that taught parents how to modify the children's behavior. The most important thing is to have to teach the parents how to modify their own behavior. Little did I know that a lot of the things that I was teaching the parents at that time are the same things that I'm teaching clients now when it comes to behavior modification for themselves dealing with a narcissist. That's why it's so imperative, parents, is to make sure that you guide and teach those children at a young age. You can't compete with the narcissist because they're the fun parent. You have to make sure that you parent, because if you overparent or underparent, you risk the chance of having that child develop narcissistic personality disorder. In the program 1-2-3 Magic, the most important thing that I used to teach the parents is that you have a young child, 2, 3, whatever, in their developmental stages, and they always want to dominate the parent. They want to be where the parent is at. They want control. So they do a lot of things to try to gain control over the parent. Parent grows tired because the child is very active, and they let them have whatever they want to have. They let them have temper tantrums. There's no timeout. There are no consequences to their behaviors. So the child learns how to manipulate to get what they want. They know how to turn up the temper tantrums. They know how to get what they want. You give them rules and tell them not to do something. They challenge those rules, and they challenge you to see if there's any consequences that come along with that. And for the average parent that is guilt parenting, there are no consequences that come behind that, because it hurts the parent more to have to discipline that child or take away something or to correct that child than it is for them to grow up knowing that that child, you're raising a child that's going to look at the world as being entitled, and they can have temper tantrum and do what they want to do. Look at the narcissist and then look at the child. And so right now at a young age, you have that opportunity to direct that child. You have to move your emotions out of the way, and you have to modify that child's behavior now, because if you don't, it just grows worse within time. That's like little Johnny likes to cuss you out, and you think it's funny. You think it's funny for little Johnny to cuss, but guess what? Little Johnny gonna be a grown man one day and cussing his mama or his daddy out. You gonna think it's cute then? I don't think so. The most important thing is to modify behavior when they're little, or you're going to risk the chance of your child developing narcissistic behavior or even developing narcissistic personality disorder. Now is the time, parents. Now is the time. That ain't cute, Johnny cussing you out when you're older.